fought the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
You know, it's wild how fast things can change in a single week. Because literally a week ago, I sat down and made a video going over everything that was rumored to be part of Nintendo's so-called Black Friday sale. But before I get into this, please hit the like button and the hype button as well. It really helps out small channels like mine to be able to stand up to the greedy corporations and the toxic influencers. I broke down every so-called deal and I said straight up that these weren't real discounts. I said it then and I'll say it again right now, this isn't a sale. It's Nintendo not even doing the bare minimum and expecting applause for it. But the crazy part, since I made that video, Nintendo slipped in another title like some kind of bonus surprise. Except the surprise is that it's just more of the same nonsense. Paper Mario and the Origami King magically shows up out of nowhere at $40. Oh wow, stop the presses. Nintendo cut $20 off a 4-year-old game. How generous, how thoughtful, how revolutionary. And then Splatoon 3, a game from 2022, also sitting there at $41.99 like that's some groundbreaking holiday blessing. And they're both on the eShop. That's the kind of pricing you expect to see permanently, not temporarily. But Nintendo acts like they're giving you a golden ticket. They really have the nerve to position this like, look at our Black Friday event. I'm sorry, but what planet do you have to live on to look at a $41.99 Splatoon 3 and say, wow, Nintendo really cares about us? That's not a discount, that's a price correction that should have happened 2 years ago. And yet they trot it out now in 2025 and label it a deal. I remember going over this exact situation last week, pulling up the same predictable list of aging Switch 1 games that they refused to touch price-wise all year long. It's the same cycle on repeat. Nintendo waits until November, dusts off the same list, throws a 20 or 30% sticker on the box, and you're supposed to pretend it's Black Friday magic. And here's the thing that makes this even more insulting. Nintendo is coming off the fastest shipped console in history. They have more momentum than we've seen from them in years. Their stocks are up, their investors are loving life, the Switch 2 launch had the whole internet buzzing, and you think that this would be the moment they throw the fan base something meaningful, a real thank you, a real gesture, something to show they acknowledge how strong their community is and how much support they'd receive this year. And instead, they roll out the same limp stale price drops that barely qualify as discounts on last gen games that they should have been in the bargain bin ages ago. And look, I don't want to hear excuses about, well, other retailers might discount it more. Of course they will. Walmart will, Amazon will. Woot is literally trying to clear out the Switch 2 games already. But the point isn't what retailers do, the point is what Nintendo chooses to do when it's their turn to participate in the biggest sale weekend of the year. And the truth is, they do next to nothing. They hold their hardware price hostage, they refuse to discount Switch 2 titles, they refuse to push bundles, and they keep Switch 1 games at these absurd premium prices as if they were still living in 2017. And when you look at the Switch 2, it's even worse. Not one single piece of hardware is discounted. No bundles, no accessories getting proper markdowns, no real attempt to position the Switch 2 as a must-have holiday item. It's like they don't even want to compete. They're terrified of lowering anything because they know if the Switch 1 becomes too affordable, it eats away at their Switch 2 numbers. And if the Switch 1 games are too cheap, people won't tolerate paying full price for decades-old titles just to pad out their Switch 2 library. Nintendo's logic is simple: keep everything inflated, keep everything as close to full price as possible, milk the last generation while pretending the new one is some big upgrade, even though half the old titles still run at stretched resolutions and barely get any enhancements. I'm just tired of the pattern. I'm tired of Nintendo treating temporary sales like they're acts of charity. I'm tired of seeing decade-old titles shoved in front of people like they're fresh releases. I'm tired of this company leaning on the same library and pretending $20 off a 4-year-old game is some holiday miracle. It's not a miracle, it's not a deal, it's not even a gesture. It's Nintendo taking advantage of the fact that so many people accept this bare minimum every year, and now they do it with a smile because they know nobody will call them out. And the sad part is, some folks look at this and say, wow, Nintendo really did something something for us. No, they didn't. They tossed you crumbs and called it Thanksgiving dinner. And too many people are conditioned to clap for it. And that brings me to the real problem, not just Nintendo's pricing, but the people who helped them get away with it. Because let's be honest, Nintendo could never pull this off if the influencer crowd didn't run interference for them every single Black Friday, every single holiday, every time something overpriced hits the store. You already know who I'm talking about, the fanboys, the apologists, the channels that act like Nintendo's PR bullpen. The moment these weak discounts drop, suddenly you start seeing creators pop up everywhere saying, see, Nintendo does put their games on sale. Look, they discounted Splatoon 3. Look, Origami King is $40. Nintendo is being generous. This is the equivalent of someone taking your wallet, handing you back a single dollar and expecting you to say thank you. These influencers aren't defending Nintendo because they generally believe these are good deals. They're defending Nintendo because their livelihoods depend on pretending this nonsense is acceptable. Some of them have affiliate links plastered all over their description boxes, Nintendo's products, Amazon links, Best Buy links, and every one of those links leads to a commission. So of course you don't want to tell you that the deals are terrible. Of course they're not going to say that these sales are a joke. They need you to buy them so they can get their cut. It's not honesty, it's self-preservation. And there's a bigger issue here, conditioning. Every time Nintendo does this, every time they trot out these reheated discounts, there's a crowd of creators who dive in headfirst to frame it as it's something exciting. Look guys, Nintendo rarely puts games on sale, so when they do, it's special. No, it's not special. It's manipulation. They're training the community to see scraps as a buffet. They're training the community to celebrate the lowest possible bar, and because these influencers repeat the same message over and over, people eventually start believing it. Think about how this cycle works. Nintendo holds their prices for years, influencers defend the prices, Nintendo reduces the prices for one tiny seasonal window, influencers scream that this is a big deal, Nintendo gets praise for doing less than their competition. And then the next year, they repeat the exact same formula. This isn't a discount culture, it's behavioral conditioning, and you can see how effective it is because the moment anyone speaks out against it, the influencer crowd instantly gets defensive. These creators are so scared of criticizing Nintendo that they will twist themselves into knots to justify anything. They don't want to risk being on Nintendo's bad side, they don't want to risk losing access or potential opportunities. They don't want to risk upsetting companies whose products they constantly funnel into affiliate links. So instead of being honest with their audience, they become salespeople. They become the ones doing the convincing so Nintendo doesn't have to. And I'm sorry, but if your channel's whole identity depends on protecting a corporation instead of informing your audience, you're not a creator. You're an unpaid billboard. Nobody can take you seriously if every time Nintendo pulls an anti-consumer move, you find a way to dress it up as normal. All these years later, the conditioning is so heavy that people actually believe a 4-year-old game at $40 is a bargain. They believe Nintendo did something for them by knocking a few dollars off a last-gen title while everyone else in the industry cuts prices in half. That's why Nintendo keeps doing this, not because it works on its own, but because the influencers' ecosystem works overtime to excuse it. Nintendo knows they can count on a wave of fan creators to drown out any criticism. They know as long as these channels frame the narrative, nobody in their circles will push back. And the sad thing is, this only benefits the influencers and Nintendo, not the fans, not the consumer, not the people actually buying these products. This isn't generosity. This isn't loyalty. This isn't normal. If the results of a community that's been taught to clap for the bare minimum while handing money over with a smile, and as long as influencers keep defending it, nothing is going to change. Nintendo will keep doing the least, and the fan base will keep being told it's the most, and the cycle will continue until more people start recognizing just how transparent the whole thing really is.
And that's it for the video. If you truly enjoyed it, do me a favor and hit the like button, hit the hype button, share it around, and make sure you're subscribed. I post a long video every day, and I also go live Monday morning at 5 a.m. Pacific time, where I react to the saltiest fanboys around. And also make sure you subscribe because I'm really trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I really need your help. If you really want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. It's only $1 a month. You'll get special badges, custom emotes, and of course your name shouted at the end of every video. And once that list gets too long, don't worry, I will turn it into a full-on credit roll so everybody gets their chance to shine. Also, don't forget to check out the merch if you want to rep the vigilante fire. And as always, until next time guys, stay vigilant.
And now it's time to read off the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Matt Fox 94, Dr. Downvote, Oh No It's Justin, Brian Payne, Andy Ritz, C-Stars Piplup, Jay Wesby 65, Geezer Noob, Dustin 360, That PlayStation Gamer, Stephen Ramey, Matthew Buckley, Blue Moon, John Marr, Johnny Bones Jones, The One and Only Groot, Female Goku, Kasaria, Vetvo Zexel, General Raihahuka, CM, Eden Force, Pokeplays, Starlight Mirror, Crystal Woe, Phoenix Freestar, The More Incredible Grimlock, Ninja Pat 15, T-Man the Cool, Kyria Lunar, Ronin Reef 90, Shadow Dragons, Brandon Alex, Mr. Crab and Arts, Back Edge, Nightfall Hero Academy, Vega Bar GTF, Switch Addiction, and Kooi Kato. Thank you so much for becoming part of the crew.
You can cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're harder